Hello music makers. The amazing plugin collaboration between Andrew Huang and Baby Audio just got a sequel, which of course means that Transit 2 is here. I've had on my to-do list to make a video about the first Transit for quite some time now, and now that Transit 2 is here, I guess we'll just make that video now. For those unfamiliar with Transit, the original idea for this powerhouse effects machine was to create an easy way to generate transitions and mixes. The key elements are that you can select up to 7 effects to include in your chain, and then choose which parameters of those effects to modulate, which are all controlled from a single macro knob. And that kind of just sounds like this. It's a pretty brilliant concept and makes taking a track or mix to the next level with relative ease and expeditiousness. The whole thing about Transit isn't that the effects themselves were necessarily anything groundbreaking. The whole point about it was that because everything was tied to one macro knob, you had all these presets and you could adjust all the presets with one macro knob. It was a huge time saver in that if you had 7 effects on your chain, instead of having to go to every single effect and apply a modulation to like a riser that takes you between sections or whatever it is you're doing, instead of modulating that across 7 different effects plugins, it's all in one spot, and it was super easy to map everything to that knob and just record that one MIDI data of the knob moving, and you had 7 effects all modulating with that knob. Massive time saver. And it's not only useful for transition, it's just a useful effects plugin in general. Like I said, I really love the first Transit, so the fact that we now have a sequel and all these features have been expanded on a lot is a warm welcome, and I wasn't even expecting this to be released, to be honest. Okay, so let's talk about what's new with Transit 2. First and foremost, in the original Transit, there were 18 total effects, and now we have 28, which is pretty rad. Here you can see them side by side. We have like an analog chorus now is new, compressor, which is new, digital chorus, an EQ, which actually lets you like mute certain bands, which is pretty cool. There's a loop now, modulated filter, an expanded pitch engine, a retro reverb, reverser, a speaker, and warp. Obviously having more reverbs, choruses, things of that nature are super rad, but I think the added effects which really open up Transit 2's capabilities are the loop, warp, and reverser effects. The reason I say this is now you can really transform loops and add a lot of rhythmic elements, which makes Transit do its job even better, I'd say. For instance, here we have a track which is using the reverser effect. Sort of hear the echoes of that reverse coming in, so to speak. This also opens up a lot of really cool glitch presets, and as you can see, the preset browser has increased a lot. They've added a ton more presets, made the browser a little bit easier to find what you're looking for. Here's one just simply showing sort of the warp feature. That one's pretty wild. And just another example, which is using the loop and the reverser with a bunch of other beautiful stuff. Something else that we have now in this new version of Transit is down underneath we can turn dynamic on and off for the mix as well as for the output. So what this does is whatever our control parameter is set, it will adjust the mix and the output based on our input here. You can also, like everything else, right click it and reverse it from one way to the other. Now speaking of control parameters, one of my favorite additions is new ways we have to control our macro knob. Previously, we just had the macro knob and we had sequencer, which I think sequencer now has also been improved. I didn't really care for the original one too much, but we also have some additional ones in here. LFO is going to function just like you'd expect an LFO to function. Have some various waves in here as well. We now have a follower. Now in regards to this follow setting, back in January, I made a video using Ableton's envelope follower and showing how it's useful for various things, but especially controlling the macro knob in Transit, where when an audio signal increases in sound, that gets converted to MIDI data, which then increases the macro knob in Transit. And over on the old TikToky, the GOAT himself, Andrew Huang, said, and I quote, "Great use case for Transit, sounding nice." And now we see follower as a built-in feature within Transit 2. So I'm not going to take credit for this feature or anything, I'm just here to simply say to everybody, you're welcome. So to demonstrate how follower works in a nutshell, I've simply just put a follower on here with distortion and reverb, and this is going to be on a vocal chain. So as the vocals just get louder, the follower will increase the control parameter and then increase all of our settings, making it more reverby and more distorted. I'm going to be using my vocals live for this one, so excuse me while we work through this together. If I have my voice real quiet, it doesn't do too much. But if I get loud, it's all distorted and such. Jazz. So that's follower. A pretty cool, useful feature. And similar to follower, you also have sidechain now, where you can sidechain to another audio source to adjust the control parameter. In this case, we have sort of this distorted riff lead thing and a kick. Sounds like this. Well, let's say we wanted to sidechain that synth to the kick. We can actually select the kick as a sidechain source here. Now, as the kick signal increases in audio, it will adjust the control parameter here for our sidechain. The sequencer has also received some updates. So here you have your different time divisions, and you click these and it starts the sequencer. This yellow button will stop it. You can also choose to loop the sequence and have it as a pendulum where it goes forward and then bounces back again, sort of an up-down. If you don't have loop on, it just plays once. Obviously, you can loop the control parameter. And you can pendulum it. Now, similar to the sequencer, we also have gate, and what gate does is it functions pretty much the same to the sequencer, but instead of pressing it and it playing, it only plays whenever you're clicking and holding, and our time divisions here, again, are just how fast that macro knob, so to speak, will go from 0 to max. Now, the cool thing about this gate is it's actually really performative, so I'm actually going to play this along with the mix so you can kind of get an idea of how you can use it from like a performance standpoint. This will probably be pretty rough, but just bear with me. We're improvising here. So, as you can see from a performance standpoint, that this is actually a pretty useful tool. One thing that could be an interesting feature is to have like an attack and release knob for when you trigger these, but otherwise this is another welcome addition, of course, to this plugin. Now to answer the almighty question, is Transit 2 worth it? If you don't own the first Transit, this one completely replaces the original. Even though it's called Transit 2, it's really like an update 2.0 more than anything else. So if you're hoping that this version makes Transit 1 cheaper, it doesn't. This is the version of Transit, and the original one is not available anymore on their website. They are, however, doing an intro sale on this until I believe the end of the year for new users. So it's 40% off, so if you don't own it, you can get it for $79, which is discounted from the regular price of $129. Now I know this is more on the expensive side for plugins. But remember that aside from being an effects chain, which has a lot of great different audio effects, it's also a huge time saver not just with the presets, but even if you're making your own sounds and presets with this, being able to just really quickly map things to the macro knob and just one modulation to change the macro knob, it does it for everything, is an insane amount of time saved. I do think the intro price of $79 is actually a pretty fair price, but I know the full price when it turns to that of $129 will definitely price some people out. But do know that Baby Audio does run sales, so if you're looking to get it at a sale price down the road, which they do multiple times a year, just subscribe to their emails. They send out marketing emails all the time. I'm sure you'll get it at a discounted rate eventually. If you already own the first Transit, you can get a huge discount on this upgrade. All you have to do is enter your license key from the original one, and it'll give you a $100 coupon code, and it makes it only $29 to upgrade to this version. I think that upgrade price is super worth it, because it's very clear to me this is not just like a regular quality of life sort of update. They have put a ton of work into massively improving this plugin and more than doubling, I would say, your functionality, not just because the effects, you get 10 more effects, but also the different control variations to be able to add dynamics to your input and output in your mix. Huge game changer for this plugin, which was already fantastic. I know this pay to upgrade will probably upset certain users who might think that the updates that you purchase on a plugin should always be free, but Baby Audio has got to pay their developers to work on these things and keep updating them. And again, this is more than just like a subtle updates and fixing things. This is like a massive, this is really like an expansion pack more than anything else. But that's it for me. If you found this video helpful in your music journey, be sure to press that enticing red button down below and hit that bell so that way you are notified when I release the preset pack I will do eventually for Transit 2. And also I have the Baby Audio BA1 preset pack launching I think next week. That one's already ready to go, just gotta film the video. And until then, see you later, music makers.